Okay, so there's this story absolutely blowing up online right now. It's about a family fight. But listen, this is way bigger than just the fight itself. This is about the war that came after. You got two sides, two completely different versions of what went down. We're gonna walk through one side of that story, in her own words, to see how one single moment can just explode into a million different tales online. And it all kicked off with a single phone.
So, just picture this, right? You're minding your business, and your phone rings. It's your girl, and she hits you with something crazy. People aren't just talking about you. They've made an entire chat room to break down a fight you were just in. That's exactly where this whole saga starts.
And that's what it all comes down to, right? In the world of social media, the truth gets messy, and it gets messy fast. You've got the rumors, you've got what people think happened, and then you have the first-hand account. So we gotta ask, what really went down that night? Let's unpack her side of the story piece by piece.
All right, so first, let's get into what she was even up against. The story that was spreading online was ugly. I mean, they were painting this picture of her getting completely destroyed. But her reaction to all this? Oh, she wasn't having it. Not for 1 second.
I mean, look at this. The gap between these two stories is massive. On one hand, the internet rumor is that she was left with black eyes, knots all on her forehead. But her reality? She says she was completely fine. Not just fine, but out celebrating the very next day. She makes a pretty good point. If you're really that beat up, are you going to be out partying? It's a classic he said, she said, but playing out for everybody online to see.
Okay, so that's their story. We've heard the rumors, now let's get to the main event. Her version of what actually happened. And trust me, she gives a very, very detailed blow-by-blow account of the whole thing.
Look, to really get her story, you have to understand who was in the ring, so to speak. This whole thing started over her cousin, who she says is tiny, like 4'10", and the opponent, a whole foot taller at 5'10", and, in her words, big, husky, burly. For our narrator, this size difference is everything. It's the whole reason she says she had to jump in. All right, so here we go. She breaks the fight down into a few key moves. It all kicks off with the other girl's big move, going for the hair. But according to her, that was a huge mistake.
And this is the moment right here. The opponent thinks she's got her by the hair, but nope, she grabbed a whole handful of her sew-in. So right off the bat, the other girl's main attack is completely useless. And that mistake, it gave our narrator the perfect opening to just turn the whole fight around.
And this is where she says she just took complete control. While the opponent is stuck, pulling on fake hair, she's got one hand blocking a knee and the other just letting loose with uppercuts. The way she tells it is so vivid. Every time she yelled, "Get off my hair," a punch was landing square on her opponent's nose. Just a relentless, brutal counterattack.
And that's her bottom line, period. The fight's over, and in her telling, she walks away without a single mark on her. No scars, not even a scratch. She says her opponent's nose was a mess, but she was completely victorious. A clean win.
So that brings us to the big question. Why did this even pop off in the first place? A fight like this doesn't just happen out of the blue. And she makes it real clear this wasn't some random brawl. This was about protection. And here's the backstory. See, for a while, she'd been hearing things, stories about this woman being abusive to her little cousin. Then, at the party, she says she saw it with her own eyes. The woman aggressively pushes her cousin, and in that moment, something just snapped. She says she slapped the woman right then and there, and it was on. And this right here, this tells you everything you need to know about her mindset. For her, this was about family. It was about loyalty. She saw someone she loved getting pushed around, and her reaction was just immediate and fierce. In her mind, there was no other choice. You just don't mess with her family. So, the physical fight might be over, but the battle for the story? Honey, it is just getting started online. And our narrator, she has a very clear theory about who's spreading these rumors, and more importantly, why they're doing it. So this is her take on the people talking trash online. She calls them liars who have to make up stories about fights because they don't get any respect in the real world. In her eyes, they're experts at spinning a story because they lose so often, it's the only move they've got left. It's a sharp analysis, basically painting them as haters who just don't know what it feels like to win. And this is what really gets her. She's like, did y'all even listen to the audio? She believes the recording of the fight actually proves she was winning. You can hear people yelling her name, telling her to stop. To her, that's proof she was the one in control. So she's asking, why is everybody trying to flip the script? You know, when you really get down to it, this whole thing is about more than just one fight. It's about a whole worldview. A code of conduct about territory, family, and respect.
It's about these unwritten rules that she believes everybody should know.
And this is a major part of that code, home turf advantage. The fight went down at her auntie's house, her turf, surrounded by 10 of her own family members. To her, losing in that situation is just not possible. She even says if she had started to lose, her cousins would have jumped in, no question. On your own turf, defeat is not an option.
And that's what it all boils down to for her. She draws a thick, hard line in the sand between her and her critics. She sees herself as a victor, someone who stands up for her family and wins. And she sees them as the opposite, people who only know what it's like to lose. And because of that, all they can do is spin stories online. And so that leaves us with this question. We just heard one incredibly detailed first-hand account of this fight. But online, in the room, there's a totally different story being told with just as much confidence. So in this battle of stories, who wins? Is it the person who is actually there, or is it just the loudest voices telling the tale after the fact?